On the evening of the first day of the week, the disciples were together in a room locked behind closed doors, and Jesus came and stood among them. And he convinced them of his real presence with them, showing them his hands and his side. But on that occasion, on that first Easter Sunday evening, Thomas, one of the 12, wasn't with them. A week later, when they'd told Thomas that they'd seen the Lord, he wasn't prepared to believe. He said, "I will not believe unless I see for myself, unless I put my hands in the marks in his hands, and I put my finger in his side." And that evening, as they were together again, Thomas was with them. And again, Jesus came and stood among them. And Thomas had his eyes opened when Jesus offered him his hands and his side. But he didn't need to reach out and touch, because just seeing was enough for him to believe. And Jesus said to him, "You are blessed because you have seen, but there are those who will believe without seeing." You see, for Thomas, the truth was, as for most of us, seeing is believing. We believe what we see. But Jesus invites us to live in a different way. He invites us to live by faith. And so he invites us to believe. And if we believe, then we will see. St. Paul writes in his letter to the Galatians, "The life I now live, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me." As we think of Thomas, known as Doubting Thomas, who had to see before he would believe, we do need to hear the invitation of Jesus, which is to believe that then we might see. And today, we need to believe that Jesus is the Son of God, that he is who he says he is. And we need to believe his message, that God loves us just as we are, wherever we are. And that to show that love, Jesus gave himself to die on the cross, and he rose again from the dead. And it's that Jesus, the resurrected Jesus, who meets the disciples on that first evening, who meets Thomas a week later, and longs to meet each one of us in our lives, wherever we are, today.